Rush1n Rascals. Ugh.
What is up, subs and grubs? My name is Jack Cypher, and today on Rush1n Rascals, we are going to be starting the How To Tournament series. And to start this, we are going to be working with strats, or strategies. And as you can see today, we are on the website called Strat Sketch, and this is the tool we are going to be using to build our strategy for today's demonstration. Now, we are not going to be doing anything brand new, unused, and untested. We are going to do something that me and the Scorp leads wrote up a while ago, and we've tried it and we know it works. This has been used by other teams such as Rain, and I've seen Rival play this as well before. So it's nothing new under the sun. So briefing name, we're just going to call it Scorp middle BRG, and that is all we need to do. Connecting to session, and as you can see, everything is ready to go. We have south spawn exactly like we want it. This strategy, I will say, can work on both sides of the map just because this map is so identical. So the first thing that we have to determine when making this strat is what tanks are we going to need. So Wallet Warrior all the way, we are going to run dual T22s. And so we want to put those up in the spawn, or just getting these placed out for now. Two things you can do on this map: you can either run 3 IS4s and 2 E5s, or 3 E5s and 2 IS4s. We've never tested 3 E5s, so we are going to run with that today, because who doesn't love something being new? Boop, 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 and there we have it. Now we need our 2 IS4s, and that will max out our player number for this lineup. You can of course fill the map with as many tanks as you like, but for the realism of strategy, you have to fill it with the number of tanks you are indeed able to use, and that of course is 7. So now that we have our tanks placed, what are we going to be doing on this map? Well, let's rename, and that will give you kind of a hint. We're going to name this CCAP. Save that, and as you can already see, this is going to be a little bit interesting. So we move on, but what do we want these T22s to do first? So we are going to actually, that is not what I meant to do. Need to switch over to this tool. We're going to move our T22s down into B. I don't like putting them exact right in B because that kind of makes it hard to see. But initially, we are going to cap B right away, and I'm easily going to be able to highlight that because we know we will not be contested for this. And even if someone down the middle lane does try to contest for it, we will not have a problem. But we will want to try and see just if anyone is over here, they can be spotted. We'll put a line of sight in here. I've never really thought about this, but it is a perfectly legitimate thing to say when you are capping B. Now that we have that out of the way, what do we want the heavies to do? Well, first let's move the E5s. We're going to want 1 E5 up here in the hold down area guarding this right side of C. Then we want the 2 E5s to play the medium role. The IS4s are going to be the super heavies, and they're actually going to play the more passive role because they don't have the gun depression to work the position as well. Dang it, I'm turning into fatness. So anyways, now that we have everyone set, we want to slightly indicate how they're going to get up there. Switch back to our green marker, put an arrow in there. Of course, we want the T22s to run down the side of the hill through spawn around. Oh, that is not what we meant to do. Jack's messing up, y'all. They'll run down from spawn around the left of that, and whoop-de-doo over there. Oh my gosh, that was horrible. And now we want the IS4s to actually run the opposite up into here along with the E5s. This E5 will probably branch out in this direction. No, I don't want to delete that. So that kind of gives you a base idea of how we're going to be starting off this strategy. So the next part we want to determine is, well, are we going to cap C? So C, we're actually going to highlight in this orangish. And orange, generically, when you're making a strat, means it's either a hotspot or it's somewhere that you need to be spotting up. And so C, it's not guaranteed that we're going to be able to cap it because there might be enemy activity in certain areas like here, 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 and here. So that is going to determine whether we are able to cap this lovely area or not. So real quick, we are going to add in this E5's job is to spot over here and to spot over here. And kind of we want to get a highlight because this E5, of course, these are not set positions. They do not have to stay exactly where they are. It is subjective to the player, and of course you're going to be moving around more than just a spot on a map. So anyways, As we can see that we've kind of got this base set up, what do we want to determine now? Well, we need to move on with a slide. We need to duplicate this. Now we need to do if B is capped. Not by us, but by the enemy. And why do I say that? Well, because for the next piece, we are moving all of our pieces on the board. Well, maybe not all. But anyways, these T22s are going to be moving up on the map. Dashed arrow. They're going to be moving. I do that every time. They're going to be moving back up to support with this E5. This is going to be the best position for them, or they can be over in this area. It's really subjective to the medium player. Anyways, but we also need to highlight the fact that most likely A has been taken at this point, and B is going to be a hotspot on whether the enemy is going to take it or not. So that's going to be a high likelihood, but we want the T22s to move out of here. But we do know if B is going to be taken, then we have the availability on C. So now what do we need to do? Now we need to put pressure. So now we have the IS-4s. We want the IS-4s to move up. Not with the orange. We want the IS-4s to move up to this area, pushing on those spots. And we want E5s to come around, and we need to indicate a stopping point. And we want to notify if they have people down in A and B cap, then we are going to be able to easily take C cap for ourselves if the team is not as aggressive. So we'll claim C cap, and we want to move these E5s. My apologies if this is slightly slow. Move these guys, and we want them into this hold down area. And so now what we can generally assume is, as hashed as this might look here, we'll get rid of these spotting indicators, and that will kind of give us some more general idea of how we're going to be moving this. And so this is kind of the basis for where you want your guys to be moving. We'll move up the E5 into this area where he can go hold down. You have to really know what's going to be happening on the map to know how subjective your E5s and your IS-4s can handle their gun depression and everything. So now that we have this kind of set up, we need to set up the actual scenario into a new slide. Cap, C cap, if we actually don't need to restate that. C cap, ag for aggressive. So now that we can determine that B is captured, we can get rid of that, and get rid of that, and get rid of that as well. And we can totally eliminate these little things over here. We need to indicate that B is indeed capped. We'll move those T22s in a second. And we need to get rid of these. You really want this to be nice and organized. If this is not organized, it'll be very difficult to tell what is going on, and your team will have a very hard time of determining where they need to be putting themselves when it comes to the strategy. So now we've kind of determined by this point in the game that we've probably eliminated the guys up here. I'm just putting these guys where they are for the sake of relevance, I guess. So anyways, we have everyone positioned where we are. So now the biggest issue is just assuming that everyone is dead up here. What do we need to do next? Well, actually, the smartest move is going on B cap. And why is that the smartest move? Well, if you come straight from A cap on the A side and then you go for B side, the push is most likely going to be from B side. We don't want to hit them right from where they have one or two people, smart as that may sound, but we actually want to hit them in the front where they are not looking. What does that mean? Well, if this area is highlighted right over here, that indicates there might be some people over here, or there might be some people over here, or there might be some people over in here, but there's generally a big likelihood there are people all up in here. We're assuming that we might have lost a tank or two in this battle, not entirely sure about that, but if we have, we still want to work completely as a whole team. That is the only way we're going to be able to do this, and this is not even all including HP sharing and focus fire. So where do we want to actually put these? So the T22s are going to be the biggest first area, and we actually want to put them in this area right in here, and this is where they're going to be able to work. So we're going to move the T22s down with an arrow and the green line, and this will just indicate where we want them to go. We're going to stop it right here and then go with an orange, and this is going to show they want to spot that and they want to spot that. The T22s are basically rear flankers and they are spotters. That is going to be their biggest job. Now we want to group up all of the heavies and we want to move them down. So these E5s, I did it again. E5 is going to be moving down through here as well as these guys, and we're going to bring this all together into a push straight into there. And this is where you meet the end of the strategy. Why do I say that? Well, because there's a bunch of different things that could happen in the scenario that are really going to be based on what the caller decides to do. You really cannot determine it from this point unless their team is not even in spawn, not even in town anymore, and let's say their team goes all the way up here. Then you have a big issue on your hands, except you can just cap them out. So no problem there. So otherwise, this is really where you meet the end of the strategy, and even though this was not the most detailed strategy due to the fact that it's a small map, it does work very, very well, and if you are running tournaments, feel free to run it. It works well. So anyways, if you had any sort of questions, if you want me to do any more maps for strategies, definitely make sure to hit me up in the comments. I'm always open to do some extra stuff. Apologies on latency of videos. I am going, once I get my new computer, I am so going to be doing way more stuff, so keep that in mind. Yeah, if you did like this kind of content, make sure to smash that like button, obliterate the subscribe button. Of course, hit us up in the comments below if you had any thoughts, comments, hate mail, love letters.